Good evening, children. We are again going to start with our studies. Now, before that, I just want to remind you that I've been posting you regularly the various links related to your subjects, right? So, I hope you're making use of those links for your studies to perform various activities, to observe various videos related to your subjects. I hope you're doing that and making use of all those posts. And also, I have told you to download Diksha app, right? And that is going to be very useful during your this particular lockdown period which you are spending at home, right? So your studies is going to be continued with the help of this app and this apps and the links which I have been posting. I hope you are continuing observing them. You're making use of that for your studies, right? At the same time, here I am posting the videos of our lessons, right? So that you can also make use of these videos also, my videos which I am posting, right? For your studies, right? I hope that will be enough for your, right, to help in your studies. Now to continue with, I remember last time I had, last video we had done the chemical equation, writing the chemical reaction in the form of chemical equation. We are going to continue with the same, right? Few more examples we are going to write down today and understand at the same time, right, how to balance the chemical equation also. We have to learn the balancing of chemical equation and writing of chemical equation at the same time. Both the things, right? Now, first reaction which I have shown over here is of how to prepare Vanaspati ghee reaction, right? Now, in Vanaspati ghee reaction, what reactants are involved? Vegetable oil, and hydrogen gas are reacting. That means when hydrogen gas is passed to vegetable oil at 60 degrees Celsius temperature and in the presence of nickel as a catalyst, you get Vanaspati ghee. And I also had told you, if you remember, when you're writing a chemical equation, reactants which are written on the left hand side of the arrow and products are written on the right hand side of the arrow, and at the same time we are going to write down the states of the reactants and the products. So I have written liquid state of the vegetable oil is the state, hydrogen gas is the gas gaseous state, and Vanaspati ghee is in the solid state. So I have written S over here. Okay. Now, also if you observe, I had told you we have to write down the conditions of the reaction in between the reaction, that is where the arrow is there, above the arrow and below the arrow space will be used for writing down the conditions in the reaction. What are the conditions in the reaction? 60 degrees Celsius temperature and nickel as a catalyst. These are the main conditions for the reaction to take place. Is that clear? So this is how the reaction, writing a chemical equation, has to be done. Now here there is no question of balancing because we are not using the molecular formula Vanaspati ghee or molecular formula vegetable oil, and the words only we are writing, right? So here this reaction is especially to highlight how to write down the conditions of the chemical reaction in a chemical equation. So this example is for that. Now balancing we will learn in the further reactions which are there. First, what is the next reaction I'm having? Copper, right? When reacting with concentrated nitric acid. What is formed is copper nitrate is one product, CuNO3 bracket twice. So how do you read it as? CuNO3 twice plus nitrogen dioxide gas you are going to get. So nitrogen dioxide gas plus water you are going to get. Now nitrogen dioxide is a poisonous reddish brown colored gas which is formed in this reaction. So concentrated nitric acid gives you the formation of nitrogen dioxide gas, right? Now here, as I told you, right, we have written the reactants, we have written the products in the form of molecular formula and the symbols of the elements, right? And we also have written the states of matter. Copper is in solid state, concentrated nitric acid, and this is the aqueous form of copper nitrate solution which is formed, and this is a gaseous form which is shown by upward arrow, and water molecule is formed over here. Now next step what we have to observe is balancing. Each of the elements on the left hand side of the arrow and the right hand side of the arrow should be of equal number. Then we say it's a balanced chemical equation. Now copper is 1, here copper is 1. So copper is balanced. So we can say copper is balanced. What about next? 4 hydrogen we are having on this side. So on this side also how many hydrogen you should have? 4 hydrogen. I have only 2 H2, 2 hydrogen. So to make it 4, what do? I don't 2 H2O. If I write down 2 H2O, 2 2s are 4 hydrogen. So 4 hydrogen is balanced as well. right? So hydrogen is balanced. Now 4 nitrogen I am having here. So I should have 4 nitrogen here. Do I have 2 nitrogen here, but here only 1, 2 plus 1 is 3 nitrogen. So I'll make it 2 nitrogen dioxide gas. So can I get 2 molecules of nitrogen dioxide gas if I write down? Right, so 2n, 2n, 2n plus 2n is 4n. So 4n is balanced. 4 3s are 12 oxygen I am having here. So I should have 12 oxygen here. How many oxygen I am having? 3 2s are 6 oxygen here. And 2 2s are 4 oxygen here. And that means 3 2s are 6 plus 4 is 10. Plus 2 oxygen here, 12. So oxygen is also balanced, right? So 4 3s are 12. 3 2s are 6 plus 4 10 plus 2 12. So 12 plus here also 12 oxygen, here also 12 oxygen. So oxygen is also balanced. So all the elements we have checked on. So this is how we are going to get how many molecules of copper nitrate? 1 molecule of copper nitrate, 2 molecules of nitrogen dioxide gas and 2 molecules of water. So this is how we write down the chemical equation and also at the same time balance it. Only after balancing we say it's a correct chemical reaction. If you do not balance, it is a completely wrong chemical reaction. You wouldn't get any marks for that. Is that clear? So next reaction we are going to see copper reacting with dilute nitric acid. Now for copper reacting with dilute nitric acid, we are going to take 3 atoms of copper plus 8 molecules of nitric acid. What you are going to get now, the product will be CuNO3 twice. Again we are going to get copper nitrate. Yes, I have not written the names of the reactants and products, but I am going on telling you the names. Since copper is nitric acid, so you are going to write down yourself the names or this particular work of writing the names of the reactants and products below each of the reactant and each of the products you are going to do. But here, for example, I am writing copper nitric acid. Here it will be copper nitrate. Here it will be nitrogen dioxide and here it will be water, right? Now copper nitrate again I am getting as in the previous reaction, but here with dilute nitric acid I am going to get nitric oxide gas. What is nitric oxide? NO. NO is nitric oxide gas plus water molecule. Now again I need to balance it, right? So 3 copper is there, so I have to make it 3 over here, so I will get 3 copper. Right? Now, how many hydrogen is there? 8 hydrogen. So, to make it 8 hydrogen, I have to write down here 4 2s are 8. 8 hydrogen here also. So, hydrogen is balanced. Nitrogen is 8 nitrogen. So, is it negative nitrogen here? It will be 2 nitrogen here. So, 3 2s are 6 nitrogen here. And here it is 1 nitrogen. So, if I make it here 2, I will get 2 nitrogen here. That means 3 2s are 6 nitrogen here plus 2. 8 nitrogen. So 8 nitrogen is balanced. 8 3s are 24 oxygen here. So is it 24 oxygen here? 3 2s are 6, 6 3s are 18. This is 3 2s are 6 oxygen and this 6 multiplied by this 6 3s are 18 oxygen. 19 20 plus 4 24 oxygen. So here also 24 oxygen I am getting. So these are all the atoms are balanced in this manner, right? So how many atoms of this particular molecules of the product we are getting? 3 copper and 3 atoms of copper and 8 molecules of nitric acid react to give you 3 molecules of copper nitrate plus 2 molecules of nitric oxide gas plus 4 molecules of water. So this is how you get, and you're going to write down the names, and at the same time what is the state it will be. This will be aqueous, and this I have already shown gaseous state. This is again water, means it will be liquid state itself, right? So these are the states, and you're going to write down the names as I told you. What is this? The other names are the same, only what is the different name I'm going to write down is nitric oxide is the only, compared to the previous reaction, other names are same except for this gas which is formed, nitric oxide. I'm writing that new name, the other names are same, so you will write in the similar names as it is. Now silver nitrate plus sodium chloride, this particular reaction which I am showing here is in the form of a activity given in your textbook, wherein in a conical flask you are taking dilute solution or the aqueous solution of sodium chloride, and in a small test tube you are taking silver nitrate, right? And conical flask is having sodium chloride. That small test tube is inserted inside the conical flask, and this is the arrangement, and its topper is the airtight stopper is put to the conical flask. Now when you tilt the conical flask, the silver nitrate from the test tube and sodium chloride, they come in contact and they react with each other. So what is the reaction going to form? Silver nitrate reacts with sodium chloride to give you sodium nitrate, NaNO3. Sodium and NO3, they form a compound, and Ag and Cl. What is AgCl called? It's silver chloride, and it's a precipitate. So precipitate means what? It's a insoluble substance, right? It's a solid insoluble substance which is formed. So it is shown by a downward arrow. Downward arrow indicates that it's an insoluble substance which is called as precipitate. Now this it's a white, curdy white precipitate, so it can be clearly seen in the reaction that a curdy white precipitate is formed and sodium nitrate is in the form of a aqueous solution. Right, so this is the reaction taking place in your this particular activity. Right, silver chloride is a precipitate. Now one more thing we have, the additional information which I have given is about silver nitrate. Now this silver nitrate is used in the water zinc. Right, so this silver nitrate, one more information about silver nitrate is given is it is used in the water's ink. Right, now further is the next reaction is of NaOH and H2SO4. If you see NaOH in the aqueous form and H2SO4 in the aqueous form, NaOH, you know, it's a base. H2SO4 is a acid. Now this base and acid, they react with each other. And if you remember, we have learned in your previous standards about this reaction. Base and acid react with each other to give a what kind of reaction? Neutralization reaction. They form salt and water. So what kind of salt you are going to get over here? You will get sodium sulfate, Na2SO4 plus water. Sodium sulfate, Na2SO4, this is salt and this is a water we are getting. That means the neutral substances you get when the acid and the base react with each other. So such kind of reaction is called as a neutralization reaction. Right, now this reaction, this is again in the aqueous form. Again it has to be, what is the next step we are going to observe here? The states we have written the molecular formula of the reactants and the products. Then we are going to write down the names also: sodium hydroxide, chlorine sulfuric acid, sodium sulfate, water. Names you are going to write down below. What's the one more important thing we are missing is balancing the chemicals. Adi, is it a balanced chemical equation? No, here it is 1 Na, it is 2 Na. Right, if it is 2 Na, I have to make it here 2. So now 2 Na is balanced, so Na is balanced. What about the SO4 group? 1 SO4 group, 1 SO4 group. So SO4 group is balanced. Right, then we have 1 oxygen here, 1 oxygen here. Then what about hydrogen? Here 2 hydrogen, but here 3 hydrogen is there. So how do I balance it now? Sorry, here 2H and 2H, 4H is there. So I have to make it 2 2s are 4H. So how many water molecules are formed here? Plus 2H2O. So this is in the liquid state. 2 2s are 4 hydrogen here, it's 2 hydrogen here and 2 hydrogen here. 2 plus 2 is 4. So 4 hydrogen, both the sides 4 hydrogen, it is balanced. Then oxygen, 2 oxygen, 2 oxygen is balanced. Okay, so the perfectly balanced chemical reaction we have got by balancing in this manner. Is that clear to you? So we are learning here how to write a chemical equation and balancing. Writing a chemical equation and balancing the chemical equation we have learned today. These two things. Right? Now to for further practice, right, they have given you in the brain power. What is that? Brain power questions are there. What is but use your brain power. What is it? Use your brain power, isn't it? Yes, those particular questions have also been solved. Right, so we will write down those reactions also for practice, right? So what is the further reaction I'm going to write down is, now one more thing we are going to learn before that, right? Before I forget, right? Plus 4HNO3, this is. One more thing we are going to add to this particular thing, yes, that is we are going to learn about the types of chemical reaction. If you see copper and nitric acid, they react with each other. So silver nitrate and NaCl, if you see, react with each other, and what happens is silver displaces Na displaces silver. Since they are displacing each other, right, 2 times the displacement is taking place. So it is called as what kind of reaction? It can also be called as double displacement reaction. So this is one type of reaction we have learned, that is nothing but double displacement reaction. Then we are having Further, this is a neutralization reaction we have seen, right? So we have seen double displacement reaction, and also we have seen vegetable oil plus hydrogen gas. It is a combination reaction. So one more type, we are also going to learn about types of reactions further, right? So let me rub this out now. Have you noted down all this? I hope you have noted down. So the nitrogen gas here reacts with hydrogen gas. These are the brain power questions we are solving here for practice. So nitrogen gas here we have taken right from your brain power question. This reaction is already given as nitrogen gas reacts with hydrogen gas to give you ammonia gas. It's a reversible reaction, right? Meaning whatever reactants react to give product again gives back you the same reactants here, and therefore the arrowheads are shown on both the sides, right? It's a reversible reaction. Nitrogen gas reacts with hydrogen gas to give ammonia gas. We have shown the gaseous state of all the reactants and the products, right? Now we have to balance it. Now we are having how many nitrogen? 2 nitrogen. So I make it 2 nitrogen here, right? So when I make 2 nitrogen, 3 2s are 6 hydrogen is here, 6 hydrogen we get. So we have to make it 3 H2 here to make it 6 hydrogen here also. So it's a perfectly balanced chemical equation. Now further, calcium chloride reacts with sulfuric acid to give you calcium sulfate, the insoluble substance that's a precipitate. So I have shown the downward arrow, plus 2HCl in the aqueous state. These are all in the aqueous state that also we have shown. And it's a perfectly balanced chemical equation because Ca is 1, SO4 group is 1 on both the sides, CaCa, SO4, right? The group SO4 group 1. Then we have remaining is H2 and Cl2. So we get HCl here, so 2 I write common to make 2H and 2Cl on this side also. So both the sides are, reaction is balanced. Is that clear to you? And the last one is sulfur dioxide gas reacts with hydrogen chloride gas, right? In the presence of moisture, both the gas are the gases, so therefore they cannot react in the dry state, and therefore moisture, in the presence of moisture, you get what? You get sulfur in the solid state and water, right? So what do you get? Sulfur, if I remove from your water, means H2 and O, that means H2 and O combined to form water. This is how this reaction. Now this has to be balanced again. Both I have written the states, gaseous state. Here sulfur is in the solid state and this is the liquid state. Now sulfur, whatever I get this thing, I have got 2 oxygen here. SO2, 2 oxygen here. So to make it 2 oxygen here, I have put 2 over here. When I put 2 oxygen, for oxygen 2 over here, I get 2 2s are 4 hydrogen. So to make it 4 hydrogen here, I write down again 2 in front of hydrogen, H2S2. That means 2 2s are 4 hydrogen here I get. Now when I write 2 over here for making 4 hydrogen, I am getting 2 sulfur. 2 sulfur plus this side 1 sulfur I am having, that means total 3 sulfur. So to make it 3 sulfur, I write down 3 sulfur on this side also. So both the sides the equation is balanced. So this is how balancing the chemical equation also we have seen, right, with the various examples, okay, and I want you to practice them to continue learning the balance. Now we are going to learn about combination reaction. The combination reaction you have learned in your lower standard, if you remember, that when we burn the magnesium ribbon in air, what happens is, right, it gets ignited, right, and it forms, right, it forms magnesium oxide, isn't it? That means magnesium reacts with oxygen in the air in the presence of heat to give you MgO, that is magnesium oxide. It's a ash you get, right? You could get grey color ash you get, and that is what is nothing but magnesium oxide. So this is the, again, the magnesium is in the solid state, this is in the gaseous state, and what you get is in the magnesium oxide again in the solid state. Now since oxygen is O2, to make it 2 oxygen here, I write 2 here. When I write 2 here for oxygen, Mg also becomes 2. And therefore, I have to write 2 Mg over here to make 2 Mg this side and 2 Mg this side. Already oxygen 2 oxygen. So both magnesium oxygen here 2, magnesium oxygen here also 2. So both the sides, the equation is balanced. So this is, now in this reaction what we have seen, why is it called combination reaction? Because magnesium combines with oxygen to give you a single product called magnesium oxide. Similarly, the next example is of ammonia gas reacting with hydrogen chloride gas. When ammonia gas reacts with hydrogen chloride gas, they both combine to give you a single product called ammonium chloride. Now this ammonium chloride initially it is in the gaseous state, and when it cools down, it condenses to form a solid white color powder, right? And therefore I have written solid state of ammonium chloride in the reaction. So both the gases, they react to give you ammonium chloride. In the initial stage it is gaseous, and when it cools down it forms a solid white color powder, and therefore the state which you will show in the reaction is solid state. Is that clear to you? Now is it balanced? Yeah, N is 1, H3 over here 1N, over here 1N, H3 plus 1 hydrogen plus 3 hydrogen, 4 hydrogen on this side of the arrow, and on this side of the arrow also 4 hydrogen. So hydrogen is also balanced. Then Cl is 1, Cl is 1. So whenever we are writing all the types of reactions, we are learning the types of reactions now. We are also going to concentrate on writing the correct chemical equation with proper balancing. Right? So we are applying whatever we have learned in the types of reactions, writing the types of reactions also. Is that clear? So ammonia reacts with hydrogen chloride gas to give you ammonium chloride in the gaseous state initially, then later on condensing to form solid state or solid state. Is that clear to you? So this is a second example of combination reaction. The third example is calcium oxide reacting with water. Now what is calcium oxide called as? Calcium oxide is called as quicklime. Now there is a mistake in your textbook. Quicklime. They have mentioned calcium oxide, right, in the bracket and written slaked lime outside. But actually that's a mistake. Calcium oxide is called as quicklime. So quicklime is reacting. So that correction you have to make in your textbook. Quicklime reacts with water. That means the two reactants combine to form a single product called calcium hydroxide. And in the process of this reaction, heat is given out. And therefore, if you happen to do this particular reaction in the test tube and you have to touch the test tube outside, that means if you add calcium oxide in a test tube and add water in that test tube, the reaction when it takes place, it is forming calcium hydroxide, and when you touch the test tube from outside, you feel that the test tube has become hot, warm, right? That means what? Heat is involved in the reaction, and therefore we write on calcium hydroxide plus heat, right? Heat is given out in this reaction, and this calcium hydroxide which is formed is what is called as slaked lime. It is called as slaked lime. So you can write down this name of this particular product, right? Copy down this reaction, write down the names of these products and the reactant, quicklime I have written, and see that in the textbook whatever mistake is there you are going to correct it, right? So to point out that mistake is also the idea of telling you, right, what is calcium oxide name, quicklime, what is the name of the calcium hydroxide, slaked lime. Is that clear to you? Now, so from these particular examples, how do you define the combination reaction? You define the combination reaction as follows. The reaction in which, right, two or more reactants combine together to form a single product is what is called as a combination reaction. Is that clear? So this is the first type of, among the types of reactions, the first one we have learned is combination reaction. The second type of reaction which we are learning is decomposition reaction. Now this decomposition reaction which I have written here, you have learned it already in the second video which I had shown you of chemical reactions and equations, right? Calcium carbonate, when you take it as a solid powder, right, and heat it, what you get is calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide, as you can see over here. Calcium carbonate, what happens to it? When it is heated, it gets decomposed. It breaks up into two different products, right? And that is what? Calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide gas, right? So calcium carbonate is in solid state, calcium oxide in solid state, carbon dioxide in the gaseous state, have an upward arrow. So this is we have shown, and it is heaving. This reaction takes place in the presence of heat. So we have to show a small triangle to denote that the reaction requires heating. The reaction takes place in the presence of heating. So calcium carbonate on heating decomposes to give you calcium oxide and carbon dioxide gas. Is that clear? Over here, right? So decomposition reaction. Further, we are going to write down about sugar. If you happen to write, this is first example, example 1. Example 2 of decomposition reaction we are taking here. C12. What is the formula for sugar? C12, H22O11. When you heat it, right? When sugar is heated, take sugar right? Do this activity at home. Take some sugar in a small vessel and heat it, right? What will you observe, right? Whatever sugar is there will start melting and keep on heating it, and what you get ultimately is black color carbon. Water which is there is evaporated. That means what is obtained from sugar is carbon plus water. Carbon plus water. This carbon, and what remains is H2, that is H2O to form H2. So to balance it, what you are going to get? 12 carbon and 22, 11 2s are 22 hydrogen and 11 oxygen. So it's a perfectly balanced chemical equation. At the same time, this is solid. This is carbon is going to be again solid. This will be liquid. Right? So sugar, what happens in this particular reaction? Sugar is decomposing to give us carbon and water. So again, it's a type of decomposition reaction. Is that clear? Now there is one more this particular activity given in your textbook, that is regarding this particular reaction. Calcium carbonate is taken in a test tube, right? And what is right? So calcium carbonate when taken in a test tube like this, right? There's a straw, right? Calcium carbonate is taken over here, right, in the powdered form, and there's a stopper over here, and there's an opening in the stopper wherein a bent tube is inserted, and another end of the bent tube is inserted in another test tube, wherein we are taking lime water. So you have to insert the bent tube end and just close with a stopper again, so that whatever is formed in this particular, what we are doing is over here, we are heating it with the help of the burner, right? Heating it with the help of the burner over here. Suppose this is a burner over here, okay, and we are heating it, right? When you heat the calcium carbonate, what we have obtained, already we have said, we obtained calcium oxide and carbon dioxide gas. So when you are heating it, the carbon dioxide gas which is liberated is what is taken in this particular test tube, I said, lime water. So what we have learned already in the lower standard, what happens to lime water when and here you observe this lime water turns milky after some time. Why? That means we have already seen the reaction, carbon dioxide is liberated. This carbon dioxide gas passes through this bent tube and mixes with the lime water over here when it comes out through this particular opening, and therefore the lime water turns milky. So this activity shows that carbon dioxide is liberated in this particular reaction. It's a activity to show whether carbon dioxide is given out during this reaction or no, right? So this activity clearly demonstrates that carbon dioxide is liberated in this particular decomposition reaction. So this activity is given in your textbook, right? So right, go through that activity, and can you recall questions I told you? You have to refer your previous standard textbook and answer those questions, and if you have any doubt, you can always message me and ask your doubts. Is that clear? So he just finishes with here. There's one more decomposition reaction we have given, and that is another example. So this particular reaction is clear to you all? Lime, right? This particular example you have taken down, right? Now next we are going to study about the one more decomposition reaction, that is the third example, and that is of hydrogen peroxide. And hydrogen peroxide is, yes, hydrogen peroxide naturally, hydrogen peroxide is kept in a laboratory in a bottle. It naturally undergoes a slow decomposition, which gives a, what products it will give you? Obviously, it will give you the products water plus oxygen gas. Water plus oxygen gas. So water obviously will be in the liquid state. This will be in the liquid state. Is there in the bottle I said in the laboratory. Right? So what happens in the hydrogen peroxide? No conditions are necessary for hydrogen peroxide. It is naturally undergoing a slow decomposition. And what is a decomposition? Hydrogen peroxide decomposes to give water and oxygen gas. So this is again an example of decomposition reaction. Is that clear? Then next we talk about, already I talked about displacement reaction, which was that was a double displacement reaction example I gave you. Now displacement is the third, is the second decomposition reaction. The third type is displacement reaction. Now what is displacement reaction? Displacement reaction is that For example, if I take copper sulfate solution and place iron. Copper sulfate solution is, I think this particular experiment you have done in your lower standard. Copper sulfate solution is a blue color solution, and if I just put an iron nail in the copper sulfate solution, right, that means this reaction will take place. Copper sulfate plus iron. What will happen? This iron nail which is there, right, this copper which is there is a less reactive substance than iron. Therefore, always in the displacement reaction, it is the more reactive substance which will displace the less reactive substance. So, iron being more reactive, it will displace copper and will form iron sulfate. Displacement will take the place of copper. Iron will come and sit in place of copper, and copper will be depositing in the form of a solid. Right, so copper is in the form of a solid. It is deposits on the iron, and therefore when you remove iron nail after some time, what you see is that silver colored iron nail has become reddish brown in color because of the deposition of copper on it. Right, so this is because of the displacement reaction. And when does the displacement reaction take place? Only when it is a more reactive substance, right, then only it will go and displace the less reactive substance. Right, if I have iron sulfate plus copper. If I have iron sulfate solution and I put copper filings into it, will the reaction take place? No. Copper being a less reactive substance than iron, it will not displace. It will not displace. This will not happen. It will not displace iron. Is that clear to you? So you have to understand the reactivity series for that. You should know which substance is more reactive than which substance. And only you can understand whether the displacement reaction will take place or no. Right? So here what you have to remember is that copper is the least reactive substance, whereas iron is more reactive compared to copper. At the same time, zinc is more reactive than copper. Okay, so copper is in the last, you can see, right? Copper will never, it will always be it is the least reactive substance. That is what you have to remember, right? So this is about the displacement reaction. Now another example of displacement reaction we have is of copper sulfate reacting with lead. Can copper sulfate solution also react with lead? Yes, and if what is that? As I told you, lead, copper is the least reactive. So lead being more reactive than copper, again it can displace copper, and what I am going to get again is lead sulfate plus copper as the solid state. Is that clear to you? So lead sulfate is formed, PbSO4. This is again in the solid state. This is in the aqueous state. Is that clear? This is again in the aqueous state. So this is again the example of displacement. So what is it? The displacement reaction definition, you can say the reaction in which the more reactive substance displaces the less reactive substance, giving you the formation of the new products. Is that clear to you? So this is how displacement reaction takes place. Any other example? Yes, if you remember in the first video, we had also taken the example of zinc sulfate solution. What was it? Zinc sulfate solution, if you remember, reacting with copper. Zinc sulfate solution, can it react with copper? Zinc sulfate solution, this is a new reaction I have done. This is not the reaction. It was a copper sulfate solution reacting again with zinc. Now this is what I have to say. This why am I saying this reaction is not there? Again, I told you copper is a least reactive substance, and I just now said zinc is also more reactive than copper. So zinc can replace copper, but copper, if it has to displace zinc, it cannot displace. So this reaction is not possible only because copper is least reactive. And what is the displacement reaction definition? The reaction in which more reactive substance displaces the less reactive substance. Here it is less reactive substance, so it cannot displace more reactive substance. So this reaction is not possible. But is this reaction possible? Yes. Copper sulfate can react with zinc because zinc is more reactive than copper. So zinc will come and displace copper and form zinc sulfate solution plus copper once again. Okay. So the copper sulfate solution is reacting with zinc, iron, lead and all are these called as all these are called as the displacement reaction. Right? So these are the displacement reactions we have seen. Now next we talk about double displacement reaction. I hope you have noted down all these reactions. Okay. Now double displacement reaction, already I gave you the example just now. What was it? Sodium chloride reacting with silver nitrate. In the conical flask example, I had told you that particular activity, right? So that was a double displacement reaction. Why I said double displacement? Because, right, we are getting two reactants and two products, two times the displacement is taking place. When 2 times the displacement takes place, it is called as double displacement reaction. So that was one example we have already seen, right? The second example, let us see, of double displacement reaction which we have, right? Potassium chromate example also we had seen. Potassium chromate, right? Also we had seen in the first video this was. So first, right, what was that? Potassium chromate. One example already we have got of silver nitrate plus sodium chloride. This is one example of double displacement reaction. I have not written the name of the reaction. Double displacement reaction. Double displacement reaction. Okay. So, and the second one is, I have said just now, potassium chromate, A2CrO4. Potassium chromate reacting with barium sulfate. What am I going to get? I am going to get potassium will displace barium and barium will displace potassium. So, 2 times the displacement are taking place, right? Once potassium goes and takes the place of barium, and barium goes and takes the place of, second time barium goes and takes place of potassium. So, what product we are going to get? Potassium sulfate. I am going to get K2SO4 potassium sulfate plus barium chromate. Barium chromate. So these are the products which are formed, right? Remember, this was the reaction we had seen in the first video. Is that clear? So what was the first, very first beginning of the lesson? We had this particular reaction. What we had written in that reaction? It is a barium chromate is a what kind of thing? It is a solid substance. It is a precipitate. I have to show it with a downward arrow. And what kind of color it is having? It's a yellow precipitate, right? If you remember, it was a yellow precipitate barium chromate. So this is how over here double displacement, and here how it is double displacement? Silver is displacing sodium, sodium displacing silver. So we are going to get silver fluoride and sodium nitrate. So again, an example of double displacement reaction. So how do you define the double displacement reaction? Reaction in which the ions in the reactants are exchanged to form a precipitate are called double displacement reaction. So why we are saying every time here also the precipitate formed, here also the precipitate is formed. So here precipitate formation takes place in double displacement reaction. So such a reaction is called as a double displacement reaction. Okay, is that clear? So for the today, this much is enough. Is that clear? So you are going to practice all these reactions. You are going to write down these reactions without seeing in the textbook, without taking any help, right? Until the time you are able to write down without taking any help, you are going to practice those reactions and balance them yourself and learn to balance them correctly. Learn to write them correctly. That will be your homework. Is that clear? So thank you for today. Goodbye.